All right, today we're talking about our very last method, which is elimination. So far we've solved by graphing. On your test, there are going to be some problems where you have to solve using the method they give you, and I am going to be asking to see your work on this one so that I know that you actually know how to use each method instead of just using something like Desmos to solve it for you. But then there will be some questions on your quiz where you can choose which method you want to use. And again, I'll still be asking to see your work, but you could choose graphing, substitution, or elimination. So some I'll ask you to use a specific method, some you'll get to choose. So on those that you get to choose, let's talk about which method is easiest for which kind of problem. So for graphing, the easiest type of problem are when they're both y equals. They're already set up to graph easily. And they fit on a graph. So they're small numbers so they fit on a 10 by 10 graph. Substitution would be easiest if you have one of your variables isolated from the very beginning, where you have an x equals or a y equals. And then the last one is called elimination. And these will be easiest if you have your x's lined up, your y's lined up, and your equal signs lined up. Because they need to be in columns like that for elimination. So you can use whichever method you want on any problem by rearranging equations, but personally, rather than rearranging and potentially making a small mistake when I'm rearranging, I like to just say, oh, this one would be easiest by substitution, I'll use that method. But if you really despise substitution, you could rearrange things to do them by elimination. So it's kind of up to you, as long as the problem says you get to choose which method. All right, so we're going to actually do some examples for elimination so you can get a feel for how this method works. The goal when we're doing elimination is to get one of the variables to cancel out when we add the two equations. So in this one, all of these are going to be giant addition problems. And our goal is when we add, that one of these would add to 0 and they would cancel out or eliminate. So in this case, it's already ready to eliminate. I have negative 4y and positive 4y. Those add to 0 and they're gone. I take 3x plus 2x, I'll get 5x. 7 plus 8 is 15. And then we'll divide by 5 on both sides. X equals 3. And I still need to find y. I can use either equation. I'm going to use the bottom one, but you get the same answer no matter which one you use. So I'm going to do 2 times 3 plus 4y equals 8 to solve for y. So 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract 6 from both sides. And then 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. So our ordered pair is 3, 1/2. And this is the answer to our problem. Now, they're not always ready to eliminate right off the bat. So at this point, we'll talk about what happens when they're not ready to eliminate. In this example, I have, these are both 7. So they're close to being able to eliminate, but they're both positive, meaning they'll add to 14 instead of adding to 0. So I need to change the sign of one of my 7s. And if I'm going to change this 7 to be negative, I have to change the signs of all 3 pieces of that equation. So since they were all positive, they are now all negative. Or if I were to change the other one, these 2 would be negative and this would now become a positive, if that makes sense. So if you're going to change one sign, you have to change all 3 signs. So here, now my y's would add to 0 and they eliminate. Negative 2x plus 5x is 3x. 7 plus 14 is 21. So x is 7. I still need to find y, and I can use either of my original equations to do so. I like to work with positives, so I'll use the bottom one. So 5 times 7 plus 7y equals 14. 35 plus 7y equals 14. So then I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides. Negative 21 is what I think you get there. So divide by 7, you'll get y equals negative 3. Okay, so there's our final answer. All right, next example. This time we don't have the same number or opposite signs where they're already ready to add to 0. Like this would add to -2, this would add to 4. But what I can do is pick one and then make it where they're the same number with opposite signs. So let's say I pick my y values. You just need to pick x or y off the bat. I'm going to pick my y values. I have a 6y and I have a -2y, and my goal is to get them to be the same number and opposite signs. And I can do 6 times 2, which is 12, and make them both 12 if I wanted. But I do know that I can make 2 into 6 by multiplying by 3. So I'm going to take this whole thing, and I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 3, because -2 times 3 will give me that -6 I want to counteract my +6. So I'm just going to move this over to the right here and rewrite the top equation. And now this 3, I have to distribute to all 3 pieces. I'll have -15x minus 6y equals, let's see, -42. And now I can do my big addition problem. These eliminate. 3x plus -15x is -12x. This would be -48. So x equals 4. Now I still need to find my y, so you can use either of your original equations or even your third new equation. I'm going to use the top one. It seems the easiest, but you'll get the same answer no matter which one you pick. So I'm plugging in 4 for x so that I can find y. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract 12 from both sides. And divide by 6. So we'll have y equals -3 here. All right, so this is our answer, 4, -3. All right, one more example. Again, at this point, I do not currently have either my x or my y where they're the same number but opposite signs, but I can make them that way. So since I chose y last time, let's choose x this time. And I need a number that both 3 and 5 are factors of, meaning they go into that number evenly. So I can't easily turn 3 into 5, but I could turn them both into 15. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to make my top one +15, so I'm going to multiply by +5. Which means I want my bottom one to be -15, so I'll multiply by -3. And when you distribute, you have to do all 3 pieces. If you miss a piece, your answer is not going to come out right. So here I'll have 15x plus 25y equals 50. And for this one, I'll have -15x minus 21y equals -30. Now I'm ready to eliminate. My x's will cross out. 25y plus -21y is 4y. 50 plus -30 is 20. So our y would be 5. Okay? Even though we found it first, y is our second coordinate. Make sure you put it second. And then I'm going to plug in 5 for y to either of my equations. So I will go ahead and use the top one. So I'll do 3x plus 5 times 5 equals 10. So that's 25. And divide by 3. So x equals -5. Okay, this is our final answer. All right, now you have a Delta Math assignment to try out. You should have 2 of the ready to eliminate versions and 3 of the ones where you'll have to multiply.